ladies, welcome back to She's on the Money, where we empower women to take control of their finances and get money savvy. So I'm delighted to welcome back Betsy on today's show. So just to recap, hello. So just to recap, Betsy's been working in banking for over 10 years. She's a qualified financial advisor and the director of retail banking at Xinja. I said it right that time. Woo! So today we're going to be talking about a really important subject, which is around your money mindset. So I guess, Betsy, just to kick us off, what do you think like a money mindset is? Like for all our kind of members who have just joined, obviously they're like getting switched onto their money mindset, but like breaking that down, what really is that?
Yeah, look, it's a term that you probably won't read about in a lot of financial books. But for me, it's your money mindset's about talks about your thoughts and your feelings about money. And that might sound a little bit woo-woo, but just stay with me. It's your attitudes towards money based on your life experiences. So if you're someone who's always found money a bit intimidating and overwhelming, your mindset might be that, oh, money's really complicated and hard and I can't understand it. If you're someone who's kind of always felt like they landed on their feet and hasn't really endured any like financial hardship, you might have the attitude like money comes to me easily, and but you might also be like, oh, I don't really need to worry about it because it'll always just work out, or just different things like that. That's sort of what we're referring to there.
Yeah, awesome. And because I think you also gave a great example of like a friend who, when money did come into her life, she used to like give it away all the time.
Yeah, really gorgeous friend of mine, beautiful soul, really generous. And she told me a story when we were doing one of these sessions. She'd grown up and she'd sort of learnt from her mum that this recurring message that, if you wanted to be a good person and do good in the world, you needed to accept that you probably wouldn't earn much money because, jobs and endeavors that were worthwhile quite often didn't pay a lot. And she'd use the example of, being a counselor or being a teacher or something. And, she then sort of likened it to like, oh, well, people in finance are really bad, or lawyers are really bad and they earn lots of money. So, if I want to do good, then I just need to accept that I'm just never going to earn much money. And it was really interesting because I was like, why? Like, you can do good in the world and earn money. And, it was sort of just challenging her on, I guess, her own value systems, but also her mindset. I was working with this girl. She really wanted to save up money to go on a trip, but found it really difficult to kind of get past $1,000. And we sort of were talking about it and like what happens, and because she'd often get close and then, something would come up and she'd spend the money and go away. And we're like, okay, well, what's happening there? And she worked out that actually anytime she got close to $1,000, even though she knew she was saving for a trip, she felt bad because she felt like if she had too much money in her account, then, that was bad and she should be giving it away and helping someone else, which is a really noble attitude. But actually she was kind of sabotaging herself. So we just sort of had to really challenge the whole idea that money was bad and having money or earning money was bad, and actually that it didn't mean that it was a bad thing. That makes sense. So so that's just a really good example of how your mindset can lead to your behaviors around money.
Yeah, interesting. So kind of, I guess, taking it back, who and what influences our money mindset? Because I know for me, my mother, she tried to get me to do budgets from like when I was like 17, but I didn't want to borrow of it. I was like, no, I was just like, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And when she would do it, I was like, go into like this sleep mode. My eyes was glazed over. So kind of, I know for me it was probably like my mum, and she was a great influence, but I just probably wasn't listening at the time. But so who and what influences our money mindset?
Yeah, well, look, actually, it's quite often our parents or the people that we grow up with, and often it's their attitudes to money or our experiences of money. So another example of a really funny friend of mine, she tells the story how her mum always kind of had the attitude of like, well, you can't take it with you, so just spend it. And, you know, she finds it hard to save because she's always like, treat yourself, make it rain, which is completely fine to do, but, you know, maybe just balance it. Don't go too, treat yourself, don't go too crazy on the savings. For me, like I grew up on a sheep and cattle station, and I sort of grew up always worrying about drought because my parents were always worrying about drought. And because of that, like I always knew like, oh, got to save just in case it doesn't rain and then we don't have any income. So, you know, that I've kind of always had a bit of a scarcity mindset when it comes to money because of that experience and all the others that you have. But so yes, it's quite often influenced by our environment, our experiences, and the people around us who teach us about these things.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I have some friends who are just incredible savers, and they have been even since school. And then I know for me and a lot of like, I think my money mindset's changed because when I've been living in the UK, you're like, I'm not here for a long time, I'm here for a good time, I want to spend everything I earn. But actually, I don't want to go back to Australia completely broke. So, and I know I hear this a lot with friends who are living in London as well. And I'm like, no, we can still have a great time and save. So when we go home, it's not like I've got to live with my parents and build up again. So that's really interesting. And sorry, you go.
So I was going to say, well, just because like the thoughts, the reason why it is important is like your thoughts will often influence your actions, you know, and that can apply to like everything in life. But yeah, with money, as you're describing, like the thought of like, oh, I'm here for a short time and a good time, and means like you're probably a bit more carefree. And like I've found with friends here in Australia with you know, the affordability, housing affordability, you know, some friends have gone like, oh, it's just impossible to save, so I won't even try, kind of thing. So then that influences their decisions as well. So it's a really important one to examine and kind of go, how might this be influencing me?
Yeah, absolutely. And are girls more influenced by their mother or father, or is it kind of like just whoever passes on that knowledge?
Yeah, actually, so ANZ did a financial literacy study, and mostly girls are influenced by their mum. I think it's like 32%. Then after that, it's both parents teaching them about money. I think that was like around 27, and then it was dads, which was like 17% are taught by the dads, and then it went down to like grandparents and teachers and stuff like that. So yeah, so I mean, as most things in life, we're hugely influenced by our mothers and the women that are really strong around us. So yeah, growing up on the farm, my mum was always, I used to call her the family CFO because she controlled those things. But, you know, again, because she was always juggling and you know, worrying about what might go wrong, I kind of adopted that mindset and had to not necessarily completely change it, but just having awareness about it has been really helpful.
Absolutely. And I imagine in certain situations as well, where particular maybe parents' money mindsets and behaviors aren't amazing, they then get passed down. And what you do is you get kind of like these generations of people who have never actually learned properly about money, potentially.
Yeah. And it actually makes me think of a story that you were telling me, you know, like trying to work out your money mindset and stuff like that. It's, you know, sometimes you can have moments which, or you might read something and stuff where you realize you've had a disempowering money mindset. But the exciting thing is when you realize like it's in your control to change it and go, well, yeah, I can learn about this, and yeah, I can start doing that, and yeah, why shouldn't I be good with money, kind of thing. So, if you do, you know, start thinking about what is my mindset, you might notice some behaviors that might be a bit negative. The good news is that it's not fixed. Very easy to change.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. And so I guess like, why is this important? So why is it important that we have such we get our mind into the right kind of mindset?
Why is it important? Well, yeah, I mean, coming back, it's like, you know, what I guess if you're thinking that it's really impossible and it's really hard, you'll probably find ways to prove to yourself that it's really possible and hard. So, you know, if you do start reflecting on your thoughts and feelings when the subject of money comes up. Just notice what they are, and if they are, not helpful or not supportive, just challenge yourself. Like, is that true, or could that be different for me? And it might help to write them down, and then write down the new ones of like where you want to go with your money mindset.
Okay, awesome. And I know for a lot of our members who have just recently joined She's on the Money, this is going to be a really important question for them, because they've joined because something in them, like me, has started, and they've said, okay, I actually want to start taking steps to take control of my finances. So how do we turn our money mindset around when we think of money and we've been so negative, and we might have bad associations with it, or it might just be something that we dread or find frustrating because we don't understand it. So how do we start creating a positive money mindset?
Yeah, cool. Great question. I like this one. So first of all, I think the best thing is realizing that you've got the power to change it. I personally like the old saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. Meaning that if I want to do something or create something or change something, then it's going to be me who does it. In conversations with girlfriends, we've realized, like, sometimes we default to like, oh, well, my partner will sort that out, or maybe my dad will teach me that, or I'll wait till I'm older. When I'm 30, I'll think about that stuff. But ultimately it's in your hands. You're responsible for your own financial well-being. So you've got the power to make it what you want to be, which is really exciting. The second thing, and we live in Australia and in the UK, one of the most privileged countries in the world. Just take stock of like what you have and get really thankful for that. I think it's so easy to get caught up thinking about what we don't have, particularly in the days of like Instagram and social media and just things coming at us with all the highlight reels. Take stock of the fact that we have access to healthcare, education, clean water, food. We have roofs over our head. For most of us, I'd say that all of our basic human needs are met, which is fantastic. How lucky are we? So yeah, and actually that reminds me of another quote. Love a quote. There's one that Oprah says, which I often remind myself when I get a little bit frazzled in my Sydney life, and it's that if you're grateful for what you have, you'll often end up having more. But if you focus on what you don't have, then you'll never have enough. And I tell myself that so many times, because I myself get caught up being like, oh, I can't afford Louboutin heels. Like, woe is me. Get a grip, Westcott, So in those moments, I remind myself of Oprah.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one, like, I know for me living in London, I'll be like, oh my God, like, something like, it's so expensive living in London. I'm like, just wait, I live in London. I have a job. I travel when I want to travel. I'm never without anything that's going to like affect how I live. Like, we've got so much to be grateful for. That's so true.
Absolutely. And then the third thing after that is, you thought about, okay, I want to change my mindset. It's in my control. I'm going to make it happen. I'm really grateful for the things that I have, and I'm practicing that gratitude. And then what's the story that you want to write for yourself? What's that vision of the future look like, and what do you deserve? And then taking action to make that happen. So, I've always been a goal setter, and so funny. I've always kept what I've written, and looking back at something I wrote 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, it always blows my mind what actually came to fruition that would have, I know at the time that I wrote it, seemed completely impossible, and like, I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'm going to put it down there. And so often it does. So I think it's really important to define, what is your goals, what's your ambitions, and align them with your values and what's important to you. So, for me, I want to, earn really good salaries and invest wisely so I can take care of family. Because for me, it's really important to be able to do that. So that's just an example of a way aligning my ambitions to what matters most to me. So that's different for everyone. The other little thing I do, and my fiance teases me about this, and probably be a bit woo-woo for people, but that's fine, is I like to write little positive money mantras and keep them in my wallet. I don't know if it actually helps, but it feels like it does. So I do
I
it.
love
So,
that.
you know, yeah. And like little ones like, you know, money comes easily to me and I'm grateful for it when it does. Or, you know, I don't know, I get a bit shy actually saying this, but, you know, things around like how I'm going to use money to create good in the world, or things like that. You know, deciding like I have the intelligence to learn about money and become, you know, a good investor, or things like that. So, you know, write your own adventure.
Yeah, no, I think there's so much power in that. And especially, I know we've spoken about goal setting in previous episodes, but there is something powerful in physically writing out what those goals are and what those kind of short, medium, long term, what your values are and how that all connects. No, I think that's like, again, another super hot tip. And I love that you keep them in your wallet. I'm going to start doing that. That's great. Or like maybe I need ones which is like, Molly, do you really need this? Will this really add value to your life? So next time I go past like Topshop or Zara, I'll be like, that's a really cute skirt. Will it add value to my life? Probably not.
Yeah, honestly, like when I was running coaching sessions, I'd write little mantras and leave them in bottles, and I literally just Googled them. Like, yeah, there's no pearls of wisdom up here. It's just all from the internet. But yeah, I think it's just a fun little thing to do. And then finally, you know, you've got your goals, you've got your mindset. Take practical action to make that stuff reality. So, you know, if one of your goals is like, oh, I want to start earning more money, you know, upskill yourself, or, you know, put together a case for asking for a pay rise. You know, just take action. Don't wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder and make it happen for you. You know,
and I think that's great advice.
Educate yourself about money.
Yeah, especially for women, that's great advice there. You can't just wait for someone to tap you on the shoulder, because that day might never come. You got to go get it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so I mean, that's it. Simple as that. Just those probably seem like really basic tips, but you know, my view of money. I was going to say, my view of money is that actually, like, you know, it's the greatest myth that wealth creation and money management is complicated. It's actually not. It's really basic steps, and the complicated part is just following them and doing them.